In the meantime, we don't need a live stream. It's apparently not like,
And but I'll just keep it there in case, and then
yeah,
I'll delete it if we don't need it.
fine. Meantime, we don't need a live stream. Apparently not like,
Yeah, but I'll just keep it there in case, and then. Even so, there's some people that prefer to watch a webinar, so I can just leave it on, and it records it. So
okay, we'll start in 3 minutes, 5 minutes, okay? People are still coming in.
So at the moment we've got 244 here and 18
Okay.
on the YouTube. So I'll keep it going.
Okay, so in another minute, when it's 5:05, we will begin. Do you want to send the people on YouTube to here and then close the YouTube? I mean, if you have other things that you want to do, then that's also okay.
I'm doing them anyway.
Oh, okay, fine. I thought you were
Fiona, it's important because it's also the recording.
Knock
Okay.
on. So let it go and
Okay, no problem. So we're
There
gonna
were a
start.
lot of rockets up north, so a lot of people might.
Okay, so we're starting. I want to say, first of all, good early evening, late afternoon. This is our second session. We had a session on Thursday with many teachers, more than 500 that this Zoom allows for. And therefore, we today set up this second opportunity. And also, I asked Howie, thank you very much, to live stream us in case we again reach the 500 Zoom limit. I also want to thank Gail. I see also inspectors joining us here. And I'm very thankful for your support and involvement. I also see Avital Pera, who was here on Thursday and is here again. But that's fine. I'm just joking. If it were up to me, I'm saying this very clearly. I don't know if I would have held this meeting, because I don't think that what's the most important thing at the moment for 12th graders or even 11th graders is to only study for the Bagrut. I would have made a proper combination. So youth at this point in their life and in these very problematic days, also volunteer or do things that are beyond school. But this is not my own decision. And we are trying to make this period for the students in terms of English the most meaningful. There are various programs that allow this. For example, joining the NOVA program, where students can learn and deal with what we call a public diplomacy that is suitable for students not only that are connected to the diplomacy track, but something more general, just as an idea. And there's a lot to do, and I will relate to that also in what we're going to say later on or soon in this meeting. So we're going to start, and of course, I'm starting with what the minister put out. Why can't I see my PowerPoint? 1 second. 1 second, I think I shared the wrong document. Did I? Yes, okay. So this is the document or part of it that was put out last week. Everybody was eager to see what the ministry is deciding regarding the Bagrut. And this is how it looked. And the Bagrut program, as much as you can say that a Bagrut is a program and not an assessment that is supposed to reflect learning, it's organized according to 3 tiers. What all schools are expected to be tested on. The second tier is only for the northern schools that have been now mostly evacuated, plus Ashkelon, and the third tier is Of course, the Gaza envelope, Ofakim and Netivot, which we will not elaborate on today. But what's important for you to notice is that every tier has the core part and then an additional part. So what relates to us in tier number 1 is that everybody will first of all, the postponement of the tests, including the code. And we will elaborate on this very soon. And also additional time to be tested, 15%. Ignore the half an hour. And also what's relevant for us, of course, is the Mikud, which we will talk about. And all the rest relates to other subjects. And then there's tier 2 that relates to what we had before. That's the additional time, plus the Mikud, plus those that are from the north and Ashkelon have also a change in their Bagrut and annual grade balance. Instead of it being 70-30, which it is for English, it is 50-50. Again, for the north that have been evacuated, not Tiberias, for example, talking about those that were evacuated to Tiberias and Ashkelon. And then for the Gaza envelope and Ofakim Netivot, they have tier 1 plus tier 2 and more, which is not relevant to us in this forum. I'm also adding the letter that has to go to Ahuva Saidov in case that there are students who have unfortunately experienced a very, what they call pgi'a chariga of a mother or a father, brother, sister, and they need extra accommodations because of that, maybe like the 3rd tier, and that special request goes to Ahuva Saidov with all this information, and I put the letter here so it's clear to you. I'm sure you can find the letter on the testing department site. Okay, and now I can go into English. This was a general opening, and I'm now going straight into English. I want to say before I go into English that after Thursday meeting, I and also a few other national counselors listen very, very carefully to what some teachers raised. And therefore, today you will see a difference for those who were here on Thursday and now came again to hear more. Then we have listened carefully and added something that did not exist on Thursday. So today the letter is a bit longer and you will see why and how. So I want to thank those that were with me. Here, Gail, I can see was part of this discussion, but I don't see, there are too many people for me now to see who else is in this room, but other national counselors, Amira, Asadi, and Shosh Harris, and Simone, I think, was also involved in this. Okay, so we're now into the letter that really every word here, every word was weighed very, very carefully. And I will take questions at the end. If you have comments, you can write them on the chat and Gail will collect them and we will deal with everything when I'm done. Okay, so I'll go through these important things. So first,
And Siona Arona is also here.
Who?
Arona, and we're
Arona
answering
here? Okay,
questions in the chat as well.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for letting me know. Thank you and welcome, Arona. Okay, so I'm starting here, first of all, with recognition that I'm very, very appreciative. And I want to, first of all, allow for a warm hug really to everyone, every teacher that is doing their best, her best. And I totally believe in this, in these trying times. And I'm very, very strongly praying for everyone's safety. And I'm really, really proud of the English teachers who are working very, very intensively to get students into a routine, back into the routine of learning. And so, and it's not easy. And I'm quite aware of that. I myself am going to teach in one of the centers in 2 days, and I know very well what it demands to keep a regular a school going, and of course under the conditions of the what we call the Yachad centers. I added here also the link, a link to the list of the English inspectors and the national counselors for all their contact information. If there are questions, I saw from Thursday that there were some participants who weren't aware who's responsible for what. So here are the link, and of course you will get this letter as a PDF with all these links. Okay, so as a result of this war that was imposed on us, the Iron Swords, we have been dealing with the matriculation testing program, and of course there will be accommodations in teaching and learning, but also bearing in mind that English is not a list of chapters that can be cut or deleted or postponed, but English as a subject is a collection of skills that is very, very difficult to eliminate parts of it. Yet, what has been done was, first of all, postponing the winter and summer exams, as you know, and here are the links to the places on the portal or on the testing department site, and exactly when the winter and summer exams will take place, including the COBE, a program. We're going to elaborate on the Mikud, and you will see the adjustments in a second. And of course, that's really important for me to emphasize, special emphasis and instructions that can be found on the portal and on the distance learning in times of crisis section that Sigalit, my national counselor here, who manages so well. And it's important because we want to continue working on teaching that is relevant and making sure that there is enough that is relevant and is available to anyone who wants to delve into things that are closely related to students, to the reality of now, the now reality. So we are bearing all this in mind. We want to make sure that even if under the circumstances we teach, of course, some from a distance, some in class, then we as educators want to make sure that our Bagrut-oriented program, that is very important. I'm not underestimating the fact that there is a Bagrut test after 10 years, 9 years of studies, but it is recommended to make sure that it's not in a way of pressure, it's pleasant, it's engaging, and that you use materials that are beyond the textbook, that are relevant. You can use media and social networks, especially since it's really important to make sure that students are engaged, but it has to be used sensitively and integrated into the other teaching materials that we have, so our students learn English that is relevant to their world, as we have mentioned. There are also many resources that are now available, such as opinion articles and rhetorical means for sharpening messages and arguments, and that's really important for writing and speaking. And there's so many inspiring speeches and meaningful songs. So of course we want to use this, but with sensitivity. Having said that, it is also important that content is selected carefully, as we said, and also bear in mind that some students are in an emotional state that we have to be aware of. I'm saying this, I'm emphasizing this, that we want to include relevant materials, but still be very, very careful not to use inflammatory positions or graphic descriptions, and avoid using materials that can cause unexpected reactions or uncomfortable feelings. And but still, there are materials that are good, and also public diplomacy, as I mentioned before. Okay. And also allow students to express their anxiety and distress. And if necessary, you must consult with any available professional if you see something that calls for your attention. Additionally, it is very important to encourage active learning, because that strengthens resilience and contributes to meaningful learning, and therefore motivating students with engaging activities is recommended. For example, writing a letter with an authentic purpose to a real person, such as a letter to the UN, United Nations Secretary General, for the release of the kidnapped children. That's, for example, something that combines English and also meaningful learning. In moments of crisis, social meetings and dialogues with peers are crucial for students' well-being. Therefore, I really, even in distance learning, recommend highly, and now, especially after 3 years of COVID, to make sure that there's a lot of group work, and not only frontal, and that the frontal component is minimized. And to allow for hearing students as much as possible. I know you're all experienced, and these are principles that are clear to you. I'm not bringing here new information, but I'm putting it here within the context of the Bagrut to make sure that the balance is kept. And if you have questions about this, then you, of course, are always free to contact your English inspector or counselor for more pedagogical advice, for more activities, for maybe a speech that you missed or that you want to bring to your students in English, of course. And now we're going into the Bagrut program after this introduction. And now we're talking about the modifications for this year, 2024, and whatever I'm saying relates to the winter and to the summer of this year only. And especially for the literature program, we're talking about 12th graders only, okay? So we're talking about this year and the 12th grade for the literature. So as you can see, this table is new. It wasn't here on Thursday. And here is what was deleted, what we have, what used to be without COVID. And now with the Mikud, there was 1 year in the middle that everything was according to the regular program. So originally Module B, there were 2 short stories, 1 poem, and 2 book reports. And now it was cut to be altogether 1 short story, 1 poem, 1 book report. That means 2 literary pieces. The same for Module D. We cut from 5 pieces to 4 pieces, and also the number of book reports. I'm saying this again because we know that the more they read, the better. And the more they work with English, the better. But the conditions dictate or were imposed on us that we have to relate to maybe will be helpful for some students or for all students. So these are the changes made. And module F, this is a change from Thursday. Originally, there was a play or a novel, 3 short stories and 2 poems and 4 book reports. And now we have 2 options for your choice. Option 1 includes 4 literary pieces. That means 2 short stories, 2 poems, and 3 book reports. Or option 2, for those who would like to teach the play and the novel and understand the relevance, for example, for our old friend, All My Sons, which is now very relevant. So if there are teachers who kept it for this last year or who want to teach the play or the novel, then the play or the novel are included, but the length is also included. 1 short story, 1 poem, and 3 book reports, altogether 3 literary pieces instead of the full program. And of course, this is something that I have to thank Amira and Gail for doing this. They also added an appendix for calculating the internal literature grade. I will show you this in the appendix of this letter, and everything will be also attached to the portal. So you'll get the letter with all the links, plus it will be available on the portal. Okay, we're moving into the next, all this was the literature. Now we're moving into the other modules. So module C, the number of possible writing topics has been reduced considerably from 19 to 7. And you can see the list on the portal. I think this is more than you could have expected. Module E is also quite a change. In Module E, I want to remind you that this year was supposed to be the last year of the list, the abridged lists, and this was postponed. We will not include list D from band 3, core 1, and which was supposed to be included in the summer. And in the winter, we were supposed to have list C included. And instead, we have list C of band 3 that has been considerably adjusted. What do I mean by that? I want to explain. You'll be a bit surprised, but I will explain this anyway. I've looked through all the texts for the Bagrut, for Module E, that will be this year. And I took out, together with Sold, of course, I took out the keywords. And these are the words in list C, band 3, which means altogether that's core 1 of band 3. So actually the remainder part of core 1, band 3, which is for module E or for 4 points, will be postponed to the winter of 2025. And you can see the words on the portal and the link here. I'm moving on to talk about the boost. I'm sure you already heard this. The boost has been postponed to be compulsory to next year. It was supposed to be this year. Boost is the oral component, the test for the summer was supposed to be compulsory. So this will be postponed, and it will remain, the boost will remain a pilot for this winter and this summer. It is recommended to pilot the boost, not to wait to the last moment. For some students, it's very good. And it's very, very user-friendly, very user-friendly. And whoever does this will receive full support. And I added Arona's contact details here. For anyone who has questions or wants guidance on how to implement the boost this year as a pilot program. several points to be noted. The old module E, okay, the one that we used to have with the listening, can only be taken by Mishneh students this year, winter and summer Moadim of 2024. And then no more. This test will be abolished after summer 2024. And the new module E, which used to be called the pilot E, which focuses on learning vocabulary according to the bands, it is done, as you know, without a dictionary during the test, but now you will see that the load is much less. And here are the links for you to remember that you have band 1, band 2, and lists A, B plus part of band C, part of list C from core 1 of band 3, which is also given to you for those of you who do want to expand or who have the opportunity to expand. It's not something holy not to expand vocabulary. On the contrary, but we are aware of the difficult conditions this year. For your convenience, I kept here list A, B, C, and D, so you see the full picture. And if you want to learn more how to teach vocabulary, how to work with clips and vocabulary, how to focus more on vocabulary, not according to lists, but integrated, then you can also ask any national counselor or other counselors in your district, but you can also consult Shoshi, who has turned into an expert in this. And here's your contact information. Also, just something that is not new, all teachers who prepare students for Bagrut and who report the internal literature grades or test special education students orally must be registered on the expert site and approved as testers. I remind you, if you want to be paid for this section, of course, if you're not registered, please do so now. Don't wait to the last moment when the test comes around, okay? The process includes uploading your paperwork, your teaching certificate, recommendation from your principal, and the list of courses that you have done till this year. In the last 2 years, please note that unlike in previous years, your school principal can approve you as a bochen on the expert site. And this can be done also with the Rakaz Bagruyot in your school. Okay. Regarding students that are considered special ed, that are or F7 students, what we call. So students in special education schools and in special education classes, or those included in regular classes that are considered F7, may be tested in a face-to-face examination situation by a teacher in the school who is not the student's English teacher at the time of the exam. This is true for all Bagrut modules and the oral Bagrut modules 16485, etc. Special education 4 and 5 point students should be encouraged, and I'm saying this very, very clearly. First, see if they can do the code before you decide for them that they can't. See if that's a possibility. And if you have more questions and you want to learn more, then please, you have Arona's contact information. And now let's talk a minute about the COBE. So for this year, the dates were postponed, and you can see more details on the site. And we don't have the dates yet for the summer COBE and Moed Bet. I hope they will be published soon. Please remember, 3 and 4 point students will not be permitted to take the oral test in the 11th grade. And I know I mean, I know I get requests from schools that are very surprising to me, even this year, asking to start or to test students early enough in the winter. That surprises me if, on the other hand, we're getting all these compensations and accommodations and modifications when they really need the time to study English. Okay, similar to last year, there are no specific and designated dates for the COBE simulations. Actually, from November 15th, which is next week, practice tests are available via the iTest program. It cannot be reiterated enough how important it is for your students to have the opportunity to practice using the iTest program. You can also use other things you can use, but also important to have the iTest practice at least once, but I would say even more than once, so that they become familiar with the COBE and the technological elements that are required. And of course, no confusion will take place on the day of the exam, and we don't know yet what will be then or by then. And if there are any questions about the COBE, again, you can contact the National Counselor who deals with this, responsible, Ellen Marciano, and here is her email. Regarding new immigrants, Olim Hadashim, I want to, these are the rules that we have for them, but we're not talking about new immigrants from English-speaking countries, okay? I want to remind you that the 10 additional points that are added to the final Bagrut grade by the testing department are not given by you, by the school, but by the testing department. So it's not your responsibility to add the 10 points for them, and especially not for those that they're Olim, but they speak English. So obviously it's not for them. And again, we have issues that specifically relate to new immigrants, and this will be given to you to the letter. So of course, I want to wish you better days, you and everybody else. And here is the appendix that I promised. The appendix is the calculation of the internal literature grade that you stick in the grades, and you have an Excel file that helps you calculate their final grade with the summative assessment and the post reading and the book report, all components that are necessary, even with both options, option number 1 and option number 2. And again, I will send this letter tonight. And now, Gail, if there are questions and if there are comments that you think need to be voiced here, then please, now is the time. Go ahead.
Okay, so the question that is repeating itself is the most is why isn't this also, especially regarding literature, why isn't this also for 11th graders, for native speakers in the 11th grade? Because we finished the literature in the 11th grade, and it repeats itself in many different...
Okay, this is not for discussion. All the accommodations are for the 12th grade. And if we know, and I'm pointing this out again, the more they learn English, the better, not less. We're not looking to eliminate the years of exposure to the English language. On the contrary, we're doing this because of the conditions and not in order to finish this as quickly as possible. So it is only for the 12th grade, and this is what it is. Next, what else, Gail?
Okay. So why are there no accommodations for G, for the writing topics for G?
After a lot of thought was given to this, and there will be no, I'm saying again, the idea is not to change the essence of English learning. The idea is not to give 5 pointers, okay, that these are the strong, supposedly the strongest students to change the test situation, but to make sure that they go through and complete the requirements under these special conditions. Last week I've also met with the Malag, with a committee of higher education. There are certain things that we do not want to harm their future. I want to remind you that these are students that their learning during 3 years of COVID wasn't so so all this was taken into consideration, and this was decided to be this way. That's it. We gave enough for 5 pointers. Other questions, Gail?
Okay, so somebody's asking here and has been answered, but I think we need to emphasize this. Will there be 2 versions of Module E, one for 12th grade, one for 11th grade? No, we're not going to do that.
No.
And I think, Tiana, as far as 11th graders, we'll have to see if the accommodations need to be made for them, they'll be made next year and not this year.
Any promises, because if we are forced to make more accommodations, it means that the war continues and that the situation continues to be bad. And I hope for all of us that this is not the case.
Exactly. And somebody has requested a list of all the words we needed for Module E for this year in one list.
It's all not in one. Well, there is a list, but it's divided. It's very, very accessible, all on the portal, and is attached as links into this letter that you will get tonight. So there shouldn't be any reason to look very, very far and deep for these lists. It's all available and accessible. Over here, yes.
A question, what do we do if we don't study at school? How can they practice with the eye test?
So we're hoping, I'm saying again, we're hoping that this situation will end sooner than later, and eventually that we'll get to school. Bonire, I can only hope that we will get it to school, and that will be a possibility. If not, we'll have to worry again. That will be a general problem, by the way. Now they're not only English students taking the oral exam. We also have in Hebrew for Arabic speakers. We have in Arabic for Hebrew speakers. Slowly, more subjects are taking on this format, following the English model. It will be a general issue, so we'll see. It's not, we'll see, Bezrat Hashem. I can only hope. What else?
Can people doing COBE in the summer still practice on the eye test from November when the new version becomes?
Yes, the answer is yes.
Okay. Somebody's asking, what about Ashkelon? Ashkelon is in tier 2.
Yes, Ashkelon is in tier 2, and they get all of this plus. What's the plus? The plus is that the annual grade is worth 50% and not 30%.
Okay, the accommodations for the OTEF, they're asking again.
I can't answer this now. It's still under discussion. Again, it's not only English, it's something more general. And it will be, when the announcement comes out, it will be very specific to these schools of the OTEF and Netivot and Ofakim. It's not only English.
What do we do about populations such as kids at risk that barely participate in online learning?
That miss. Okay.
Yeah, they're just not attending.
That's also something that has to be discussed in your school. I mean, what is the school policy regarding Bagrut taking for those students in general? It's not, again, it's not only English. English is not, we're not in a bubble here. So we're doing the best we can for English. And who asked the question? Avital, you asked the question? So Avital, I think that's something that needs to be discussed in school. What happens with students that are not functioning or are not participating? That's something that needs to be followed up in their various ways. First of all, phoning them and checking what's happening, and monitor. No, I can imagine that you're doing this, but this is something definitely to be related to seriously.
Okay, there are more questions about 11th graders and literature. You've answered that already.
I have.
And I think just when you get the letter, look at the letter and contact the people specifically that you have questions about.
Absolutely. We're all available. You have all our contact information. And if there's something that hasn't been addressed, then you know how to find either the inspector or me, and we always answer with pleasure.
And again, there's another question here. There's a school that has kids within the 0 to 7 area and kids outside, and will their grades be calculated differently?
It's I think it's the school wherever they study as a school and not where they live, as far as I understand. So we're talking about schools that belong to the rural district, Nofe Absor, etc., Shikma in the Negev, and of course, and Ofakim and Netivot, and they will be related to if they study in these places, not if they live outside and come to study there. So yes.
Siona, can I say something?
Yeah.
Hi. So there are a lot of questions coming in about kids with special needs, children who are blind, visually impaired, hearing impaired, all these kinds of issues. They don't do the COBE. They don't do the COBE. They didn't do the COBE. They're tested face to face by a person. It has nothing to do whether there's a war or whether there isn't a war. They can't see it, so they need to be tested by a person.
And Barry added, I see that I forgot Sderot. Of course, I did not. Of course, including Sderot. Of course. I'm sorry. Yes.
The letter is the PowerPoint. Yes, it's the same thing. It's the same text. You will receive exactly the same text that you saw. And somebody keeps on asking if there will be more dates for exams. I don't know what that means, Tiana, do you?
No, there won't be like during COVID that there was what was it called? There were more dates. There were additional. No, it was beyond more debate. There were special dates that were added. Nivtzarim, thank you. Nivtzarim, thank you. Nivtzarim Aleph and Nivtzarim Bet. No, there won't be Nivtzarim Aleph and Nivtzarim Bet. What else?
In Module E, the reduced list, does it apply to 11th graders as well? Yes, they are not going to be.
If they're doing E this year,
only for
5
yes.
pointers, then it includes. If you ask me whether 4 pointers should do E this year in order to, I think no, I think they should be prepared better. I think the better interest is for them to do more vocabulary and teach them more and not to look for these modifications and just in order to finish. Think of the day after, what these students really need: more practice, more exposure, more vocabulary, more writing, more speaking, more listening. So think about that.
And Avital says, thank you for always being available and helpful.
You're welcome.
And I think that's it. We've answered all the questions. The letter will be sent out.
If there's something more, I'm opening the mute. If somebody wants to specifically say something that I have not mentioned and there was no that we didn't relate to, then you can ask still without our screening you.
I have a question in regards of canceling the boost. So teachers are registered in the Magar Mumchim or whatever you call it. Yeah? How do you call this? Are they going to be pointed to other schools to be testing?
No. Why? What for?
So if I can't test my kids,
you can't test your kids. Is there another teacher in your school?
other English teachers. So we do a
Rega,
split.
rega. No, we're not talking about F7. Boost, you test your
No,
own
not
students.
F7, no, three
Boost, you
pointers.
test your own students. It's
Right.
מבחן פנימי.
Okay,
So there's not a problem at all.
right. Thank you.
Okay.
Siona,
I have a
regarding
question.
regarding 11th graders who have to take the module C this year, are
They
they
don't
going to
have
be
to.
tested?
It's your decision. They don't have
It's
to
my
anything.
decision, yeah. Students who are taking 11th graders who are taking module C this year, are they going to be tested on 7 topics,
Yes.
writing topics? Oh, yes. Okay, thank you
Yes.
very much. Thank you.
I wanted to ask you something, if I may.
Yes.
I'm teaching in a school in Merkaz Shapira, and we have girls who live in Sderot, and they move to hotels in the north, and they're not currently coming to school. What is
Are you
the
teaching
rule
them
for
from a
that?
distance?
No, they're not with us. They're in hotels.
I'm
They're
asking
not.
if you are in touch with them. Are you in touch with your own students? That's what I'm
Yeah, we're in
asking.
touch with them, but they are not. They can come to school. We
Of
partially
course, they
teach
can't
from
come to
school.
school. I'm asking if you are teaching them from a distance because these students
Yeah.
they need their framework. They need their teachers.
Yeah, of course.
they
Partially we're teaching from afar and they attend, but partially we come to school. It's like half-half.
okay.
So they're not 100% with
I
us.
don't have policy because it's not my policy regarding students from that are mefunim and they're not in their schools. I know that policy is being made and I'm sure you will hear about it from your school. So I don't have an answer specifically for this question at the moment.
Okay.
But that's a very important question. I don't know because I know that high school students in general are being sent to schools, either to their schools or to schools in the city that they are being hosted in. And therefore, and I know that information is being collected about these students. I know that even in the districts, today I learned that they have information about 60% of the students, where they are, because many were evacuated, they moved to their relatives or families. They're not in the centers. So a policy hasn't been
Yeah, for sure. I
defined
just
yet.
wanted to ask something more specific. Will they get the accommodations if they live in Sderot and Ashkelon, but they study by us?
What do you think?
I don't know if it's individual decision. I think so, yeah.
I also think so, but I will check today. I will check if there is an exception on any way. I don't believe that no one will dare to say he yes, she no. Okay, so I wouldn't worry. They
Yeah,
first
okay.
have to.
Thank you very much.
Esther, first they have to learn. They have to study. They have to get into a routine. Okay, and then we can talk about the modifications.
Okay, thank you.
Better?
Siona, can I ask a question?
Yes, Carol. How are you?
Very good, thanks. Siona, a lot of our students, as you say, are being fed into schools in Tel Aviv and the other cities.
Yes.
Are the teachers aware that they don't have to have all the requirements of stuff that they haven't done? For example, our 12th graders have never done a project. We're meant to be doing it this year.
Carol,
Schools
I
are
can only
asking them,
hope-
where's the project?
Carol, I can only hope that the teachers are aware of these students coming into their classes. Beseda? If I have to tell them that they have to be aware of the students coming into their classes, that's not such a good sign.
Yeah, but they don't need to catch up all the other work that the other kids in the class have done because they haven't done it.
So it would have been nice if we knew exactly where each student is, but only a school or only a teacher can check up where their students are. You know, me from my place, how can I know?
Yeah.
You have to, I think the best thing would be to try and be in touch where the students are and what they need and what they're studying
Fiona, just a
as
word
much as
about this.
possible.
Yeah, just a
Okay,
word about
thank you.
this. In a lot of the centers, there is now the students are showing that they want to actually, do work. So if their teachers are sending them what they need to do, then they are working with teachers in centers or they're in schools and there is an attempt to try and help the kids do the work that they need to do. Okay, of course, it's not going to be perfect because it's not their teachers, but a lot of the kids are asking for it, and we're trying to give that option to the centers, that there are experienced Bagrut teachers who are helping the kids do the work. Okay.
Simone is working in one of the centers in Jerusalem, and she knows very well that there, and it's a center where there are kids from Sderot and from Yachini, and which is near Netivot, and she knows that there are students who have been going to other schools in the city, but they are actually asking, we want to learn, please give us the material that is relevant for us. So Carol, if there are, I know of where Sderot kids are. You don't teach in Sderot anymore. You teach in
No, she's talking about Darka kids.
No, I'm also talking about Shara Negev.
And Shara Negev, yeah.
Doesn't matter. All the kids, I'm also teaching in, all the kids are wherever they are. If we can learn from them and from their teachers, or their teachers can tell them what they need, the people who are working with them in the centers will do their best to give the kids what they need. Okay. And if you have students that you know or that are in where, find out where they are, you know where they are, then we can also help them get the material that they need.
And in addition, I'm saying this because even though it's a bit tricky, what I'm going to say now, I know that the districts are looking, the South and the North are looking for their teachers, because many teachers want to go back to teach, and it's about setting up the schools so they can help their own students as much as they can, and as much as the conditions allow. So you know, it's a joint effort.
And the dig into digital, Tiona, we can
that's when they were looking for materials. What Carol is worried about is for the test, for the project, and the literature that they have.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not about teaching, unfortunately. Okay, is there anything else that we can answer, or we're sending out the letter? I'm going to send it now through the WhatsApp groups and posting it on the portal.
Tiana, excuse me 1 minute.
Yeah, yes, you did.
Are you going to consider any leniency with the marking system this year?
I don't know. I don't want to commit to that. I don't want to commit to changing. We didn't to changing because we did the changes in the Mikud and not in the Chukei Mane. Well, the Chukei Mane also relate to the Mikud. Kitzur, I don't think so, Judith. We're not going to change, let's say, you're saying, no. The answer is no. Okay, so,
Tiona?
Yeah.
When you say that module E vocabulary list is C, does it mean A, B, and C, or only C?
Yes, always, Tanya, always.
All of them?
A is what they have to know by the end of Kita Vav. Band 2 is what they have to know by the end of Kita Tet. So yes.
So band 3, we are talking about A, B, and C.
No, we're talking about band 1, band 2, list A, list B, and half, not even half of list C.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, from band 3. So, Gail, are there other questions that we are?
There seem to be questions being repeated about the code again, with the prompts for 5 pointers for the clip, and the questions, are they the same for 4 and 5 pointers?
We didn't touch the prompt. There's nothing about the clips. Everything is as you know it. Nothing, you didn't change the code. It's exactly as you know it. Okay, so I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to say thank you for coming. I know that for some of you, it's not easy to sit here and listen about the testing program or about the Bagrut. And I want to, and that shows again how important it is to address students' needs and how much you care about them. And I'm thankful for that. I'm very proud of English teachers who are doing so much for them.
Fiona, you got a lot of thank yous from all over as well.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you for coming and all the best.
Thank you.
Demet.